Page 172. And I'm speaking of the Hashem. Last week, Rabbi Yonatan Halevy was telling us about the limitations of humility and that a leader must sometimes exercise inward humility while foregoing outward humility in order to keep a certain level of decorum in public. ואת הענווה החיצונית איני צריך לבאר לך. I don't need to explain to you the outward humility. כבר ביארתי לך הכל בעניין הנהגה המוסרית. I already covered it earlier. ובכל זאת העיר מה שכבר העירותי, page 174 עליו, בתחילת הפרק, וכאן אשלים את ביאורו. So I'll continue on what I've already spoken and elaborate on the rest of the matter here. And what I mean to tell you is שעליך להבדיל בין הענווה החיצונית המחויבת. You must differentiate between necessary outward humility, to be humble in front of other people. That's obligatory in every person. ובין השפלות והביזיון שהן מידות נתעבות. And disgraceful and degrading demeanor, which is contemptible. There's a big difference between humility and self-disgrace and degradation. We're going to talk about it soon. But this whole idea of I'm not knocking myself. The whole point of being humble is not to make myself bad. It's just not to be haughty and arrogant. There's a very big difference between those two things. People normally think that if I knock myself down, I humiliate myself, that's humility. It's not the same thing. That is contemptible.
One of the things about humility, though, it has to be really genuine. That's when it takes a while to cultivate. In other words, it's not something that can be put on or faked.
Correct. Well, I think it could be faked.
I mean,
but not necessarily be
fake it, but
be genuine,
real.
right?
And people will pick up on that if they have any their own integrity.
And now he's going to explain. And this is very foreign to the 21st century Jewish mind who is not familiar with the writings of the Rambam and our rabbis in general, which I believe average Jewish community falls into that category. הגם שהענווה החיצונית מחייבת ללבוש בגדים גסים. Although outward humility might necessitate one to wear rough clothing. אין מחובת הענב ללבוש בגדים מטונפים מגואלים. There still is no need for the humble to wear dirty, filthy garments. כי זוהי השפלות שהנפש מתבזה לידה. For this is disgraceful and degrades the soul. Notice how he mentions the direct connection between the clothing one wears and the neshama that you normally wouldn't connect to clothing. Once somebody came to our parents struggling with, I don't know if it was real depression, but depressed. He was down. He was in a very hard place. And our parents said, go buy yourself a nice new suit and a tie, something you like to wear. It looks sharp. However you think a sharp person should dress. Go spend, splurge. And come back to yeshiva dressed nice. Because sometimes your neshama is really hurt by, it says in the Gemara that kelimna, dirana, a beautiful home, beautiful possessions, it broadens a person's mind. When a person is not living in a little basement apartment with leaking water and mold, and there's sunlight, and there's a nice table and a chair to sit on, and a nice couch to read on, it can expand a person's thoughts. A person has greater intellectual abilities than when they're stuck in a place that feels confining. Because your physical experience also dictates what you're experiencing emotionally. And we try so hard, your emotions shouldn't be dictated by the place where your environment influences you. And maybe you can argue if it should or shouldn't work that way, but it does, for the most part, by most people. And therefore, we have to deal with it the way it is. And so this idea of a Talmid Chacham wearing clothing, this is rough clothing. There's no obligation here to wear clothing that's hurtful or it makes it uncomfortable for you or if one's itching all day long in their clothing, they're not going to be able to study Torah. It's not that's not what it means. Rather, you're probably aware that there are kinds of clothing that people wear that are very expensive, and people, wow, I can't believe you wear that kind of shirt, or I can't believe you have those kind of pants, whatever. There's such people that all they care about is the kind of clothing other people wear, not what other people wear. And then there are people who say, I don't want to get involved in this game. I don't need to dress like that. I don't need to walk like that. I don't need a 3-piece custom-made Italian designer suit with a golden stopwatch that hangs onto my belt loop, and it's not what I need. I'm happy with a nice suit, but there's some people might think that, it's a micham, you should be a humble person. You should be wearing dirty clothes and smelly clothes and old ripped clothes. Fortunately, there are such people. You see them at the kotel sometimes. There's even a famous rabbi. I don't know. I'm not a student of this.
You see pictures.
He's been homeless for many years at the kotel, and he wears ripped clothing, and it's part of his humility.
You see a representation of the Rambam. He always has like a turban, like a nice robe.
Well, it's an interesting question. That's actually even the Rambam, because his hair is kind of shaved in the wrong places. But yeah, I mean, the idea that one would have of the Rambam was a very well-kept person. In fact, this is an old war between the Lithuanian rabbis and the Hasidic rabbis as to whether this whole growing out a beard like the wild wolfman, if that's fit. I mean, I know that according to Kabbalah you have to have a beard, but maybe there's also a certain sense of respectability that one has to have, a certain demeanor, a certain dress, a certain. Okay, but this is the Rambam says one shouldn't confuse wearing humble clothing to wearing dirty clothing. It's not the same thing. And a person's neshama could actually be damaged by the wrong kind of clothing. The L'chen Chazal, therefore, our rabbis tell us, Kol Tamid Chacham. Every Torah scholar, Shenimtza Revav al Bigdo, who finds an oil stain, al Bigdo on his clothing, Chayav Mitah, is liable for the death penalty. Whenever Chachamim say this, it doesn't mean that there's no actual death penalty. Nobody would kill somebody for this. But if we could, this would be a fitting punishment. It's a way to say something. People would do this, I would put them all in prison. They wouldn't put anybody in prison, actually, if you would ask them. But the idea is it's an expression, that it's considered very bad for to not be dressed, at least respectfully.
That's pretty harsh. Well, I mean, oil stain's easy. Whoops. I'm eating lunch.
I almost always carry a jacket around with me, or a sweater or something. Not because I like to wear jackets or sweaters, but because sometimes your shirt gets dirty. You're not at home where you could change it, so you have to cover it up. And it's... the Rambam mentions that a person has to go home and change his clothes. Not all of us are in such situations, which is why perhaps this is only left for a Talmid Chacham, because not everybody can be particular about this.
I understood that on Shabbat, if you're wearing a shirt or you're wearing, and it gets dirty, you're not supposed to try to clean it up.
Change it though.
Well, if you're not home, you can.
Yeah, but
Suppose you don't live at home. You're not there. You're at somebody's house, and the rest of the afternoon you're going to be there, and you have a siyah on your shirt, and it doesn't look nice at all. But it's supposed to be. Well, I don't do that.
that sounds different to me than what he's talking about, though, which is like
It
a
is
person who
different.
doesn't take care of their clothing.
Yeah, I know it's different, but
and
I
they
just-
wear
But the Rambam is talking about this scenario as well.
when someone all of a sudden
Yeah, if
stains their
a
clothes.
Chacham
in
was eating
someone's
lunch and his clothes got stained, they have to run home and change his clothes.
But if you can't run home and change your clothes, then
house. Sure.
I have an interesting thing that I do. That people go, oh, that's a Hasidic thing. This robe that I wear during the meals. The reason I started wearing it, I didn't wear it when I first got married. I used to always get my shirts dirty and my ties dirty. I'd be doing kiddush at shul, and someone would, and it always happens. Someone always spills a glass of wine next to me. It always, almost every Shabbat, you'll come look at my chair. 10 minutes into any meal, you always see my whole tablecloth is covered in wine. Somebody kicked the table. Somebody spilled. Sometimes my kid. Sometimes it's
Having kids is enough to get your
yeah.
clothes.
Sometimes it's the people who pass. They walk around the chairs and they don't realize the chamin plate just slid across my shoulder, and so it happens. It happens. It used to be worse when I was in places where people attacked the kiddush table and things like
Oh
that.
my God, yeah.
So I remember talking to my some of my wife's family members. Oh, that's why we wear these. It's a very thin robe, and it can get as dirty. You could spill the whole chamin on it and the wine bottle on it, and you would never know it was dirty. And the reason I wear it is not because I enjoy getting more dressed up in the weather that we have in San Diego. It really keeps me clean. And most of the time, I don't have the luxury on Shabbat specifically to run home and change my clothes. That's the reason why I do that. But it's something to think about. שנאמר כל משנאי אהבו מוות, אל תקראי משנאי אלא משניאי. All my enemies desire death. And the Gemara says, don't read all my enemies desire death. Rather, masni'ai. All those who cause people to despise me, they should deserve death. Meaning a Talmid Chacham, like it or not, he's representative of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the way he looks, the way he dresses, oh, those religious Jews, they smell so bad. And there are people who say such things. And they might even have gotten on the number 2 or 3 bus to the Kotel on a summer day when only people go to the mikvah and they don't shower. They feel, yeah, during the 9 days. Oh, Hashem Yishmor. Hopefully the 9 days won't happen, but if they do happen, Hashem Yishmor. And this is very important because one is representing the HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In fact, when I was in yeshiva in Baltimore, we used to walk down this road, Reisterstown Road. They had Target and kosher stores and all kinds of places, and we would go up and down the road and we'd be walking, guys would get ice cream, they'd get food for Shabbat, they would get challah, whatever they would get, and we'd be walking around and it's hot, it's summer, it gets warm, guys started untucking their shirts, and Rabbi Teller, the Rosh Hashanah, he would stop sometimes, pull over next to a group of guys, say, you want to be in your dorm room with your shirt untucked. But when you're out in the street representing the yeshiva, you have to make sure you look dressed. I was very particular about it. And there's what to be said. There's in Israel, there's a special police force of the Israeli military. That their job is to run around any city in Israel and find Israeli soldiers in uniform whose shirts are not tucked in, whose their hat is not pinned on the right, I don't know what shoulder it's on, whichever shoulder it's on, to make sure their uniforms are ironed, because they represent the Israeli military, and if they got off duty, now they're sitting in the bar, their shirts untucked, they can get a fine from an Israeli military police officer.
That's new to us.
It's kind of like it. It's one of the most hated jobs in the Israeli military. They detest these people very much, but at the end of the day, they also have a purpose to fill. Okay, is that understood? Yeah, we'll continue tomorrow.